Hello, my name is Simon and this is the Retro News Roundup. To start this month's episode, there could be no better, or should that be worse, place than the Sinclair ZX Spectrum Vega Plus debacle. A successfully funded Indiegogo campaign by Retro Computers Limited, the aim was to have portable versions of the ZX Spectrum sent to backers by February this year. That has apparently not been the case though, and now Indiegogo have stepped in and made sure the manufacturer can acquire no further funding for the project. According to an RCL statement, there is a delivery delay, but the amount of people requesting refunds on the campaign's backer page would suggest there's not a lot of faith in those words. A truly sad state of affairs. Moving on to more positive news, potentially the first ever Easter egg was found in an arcade game from 1977 called Starship 1. The discovery was made by ex-Microsoft executive Ed Fries, after a tip-off from the game's programmer Ron Milner. If the correct buttons are pressed in a certain order, the game will say, "Hi Ron," even if your name isn't Ron. Pretty amazing, huh? And finally, some book news. A Kickstarter for a tome called Commodore, The Inside Story was launched. And £15 will get you a downloadable copy, with £30 bagging you a hardcover version. In addition, the NES Visual Compendium came out last month, with a copy setting you back £29.99. The Nintendo Switch may not have many full-price games in its library at the moment, but it was well represented on the retro front last month, with no less than 8 Neo Geo titles ported to the system's eShop. They included King of Fighters 94 and 98, Metal Slug 1 and 3, Neo Turf Masters, Shock Troopers, World Heroes Perfect, and Nam 1975. Other than this, the system got a rather nifty quasi-remake of NES cult classic Blaster Master in the form of Blaster Master Zero. The game was also released onto the 3DS's eShop. Even the Wii U didn't get forgotten last month, receiving a port of the N64's largely forgettable Bomberman 64. Hey, beggars can't be choosers. Onto the PlayStation Network, the PS4 received 2 Neo Geo titles, Nam 1975 and Sengoku, as well as a collection of fighting games called Fatal Fury Battle Archives Volume 2. The latter includes Real Bout Fatal Fury, Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, and Real Bout Fatal Fury 2. That's a lot of fury. Next, a tarted up version of Turok 2 Seeds of Evil was released onto the PC, with the format also receiving unofficial ports of Amiga titles TwinWorld, Land of Vision, and Universe. Then to wrap up the new releases, there were 2 retro ports for iOS and Android devices from Capcom, 1942 Mobile and Wolf of the BF, Commando Mobile. Also, this isn't out yet, but last month Capcom announced that the Disney Afternoon Collection for PC, PS4 and Xbox One is coming out in April. It includes Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, and the first and second installments of DuckTales and Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. It also gives me the chance to use this clip. Barely anything to speak about in this section, although Hyperkin did post this on Facebook, a system that allows you to play Game Boy, Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance carts on your TV. There's no price or release date set for it at this moment in time, and it could also be an April Fool. As usual, there was a lot of Homebrew released last month, and all of it is free to play as far as I can see. Surprisingly, the MSX got the joint largest amount of titles. The ancient home computer received 3 new games, Zevimodoki, Tales of Popolon, and RMD. The ZX Spectrum also got a trio of new games, Ooze, Takeout, Freakout, and Pilot Attack. Then there were 2 new releases for the Commodore 64, Nero and Frogs. Then a load of other consoles got a single new title each. Ready? Here we go. The hugely impressive The Lost Treasure of Quatamok for the Amstrad CPC, Lumberjack on the Amiga, Stickman for the Atari Jaguar, Terrabonk on the Atari ST, Dogfighter 2 for the Apple II. And then to round off the new releases, there was an unofficial port of Amiga Laserdisc game Time Gal for the Amiga CD32 and HDD. And to finish this section, a Kickstarter for NES game Spookotron was launched and successfully funded in March. You can still back the project though, and $38 will get you a cart when the game is released in October. To start, footage of the incomplete Die Hard 64 for the N64 was uploaded online last month, but the playable ROMs aren't available for the public to download just yet. Interesting fact, this game eventually became the somewhat underrated Die Hard Vendetta. Yippee-ki, no way! A playable build did get released of the cancelled Dreamcast port of Millennium Racer Y2K Fighters though. It was uncovered by a website, the Dreamcast Junkyard, and a link to where you can download the ROM is in this video's description. Another long thought lost game you can now play is Standard Deviation on the Commodore Amiga, which was uncovered last month. It's all but complete, and there were never any reasons given for why it wasn't released, but the fact it's a pretty poor rip-off of Project X might have had something to do with it. 4 English fan translations this month, and they're a varied bunch. They include Animatic Story Game 1, Card Captor Sakura on the PlayStation, Energy for the PC Engine, Temple Labyrinth Dababa on the Famicom Disk System, and finally Bandit Kings of Ancient China for the NES. That's all for this month's Retro News then, but thanks so much for watching, and please do give this video a like if you can, so my faltering ego can get a tiny boost. I really do appreciate it. As spring has sprung here in the UK, why not watch my video on May of the Bee by the way, as I filmed most of it in a forest. No joke. Just click on the box on the right for that, and the one on the left for all the music used in this episode. And hey, why not follow me on Twitter and Facebook?
Hello, Mr. Samurai. Nice to see you again.